As highly anticipated meeting between government negotiators and officials of the International Monetary Fund commences. We'll break down the details from the books we in the Republic of Ghana are opening to the staff from that Bretton Woods institution, with one of the ministers charged to defend government's major move. Tonight, government is being compelled to open up and lay bare the facts about the Ghanaian economy to the officials of the IMF with the hope of convincing them to give us a bailout for balance of payment support, amongst others. The fund's officials, led by Mission Chief Carlos Radovich, can't control the fate of Ghana's financial future for a table discussion amid the hue and cry about the public over ever-increasing cost of living. The Finance Ministry has already been telling us that this engagement will be a 7-day activity with the IMF officials and government's economic management team and the presidency. Now, we understand e-levy, the wage bill, and other high, big-time agenda will be top on the veil that we're actually supposed to be dealing with. But more importantly, though, we'll also be having the ministry come up with some of the best of the ideas and the discussion going in the direction of what ought to be done. Now, let me not take the wind out of your sail. There is currently a meeting ongoing. We understand the IMF team is at the seat of government with the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. The presidential correspondent here, Elton Brobe, joins me with the latest on that particular development. Elton, do we know whether this meeting has commenced? We understand it was supposed to start some 30 minutes ago.
I can confirm that my checks suggest that the meeting is actually underway. And it is a courtesy call. Indeed, before this meeting, the visiting IMF team, they had a briefing from the finance minister, and that briefing touched on Ghana's enhanced domestic program. So they had the first-hand information regarding the issues that are to be discussed. So this really is a courtesy call on the vice president, who is also the chairman of the economic management team. So there's enough information. Even before, paying a courtesy call on the vice president, they had actually met with the finance minister. They met with the governor of the Bank of Ghana. They met again with the finance minister and again with the governor of the Bank of Ghana. 2 separate occasions, because every occasion had its own agenda. So for example, with the finance minister, between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., they went through what they described as fiscal expenditure, where the first half performance of government was on the table for discussion. They also discussed the wage bill, the 2022 projection, upcoming reforms and negotiations. Labour is asking for COLA. Is government going to give them? Is it part of the negotiation? Is it part of the reform? Those matters were discussed. They also discussed statutory rules. They discussed the overview of, internet generated funds. Cocoa Board also made a presentation which touched on the overview of its activities between 2017 and their plan of action for 2022. Financial sector payment, spending in 2022 also was discussed. Impact on high commodity, that's oil, on our economy, also dominated some of the discussions between the finance minister and the IMF team around 9. And then when they met the governor of the Bank of Ghana, forest was the major issue. Reserve development and outlook, reserves position, reserve flexibility versus reserve drawdown were the major issues that they had to deal with. The governor of the Bank of Ghana estimates of critical forest, shortage for the next 6 months. How critical is it? Are we drawing down on our reserves? These are the major issues that they discussed. And then again, they went back to the finance ministry again. They had another meeting with Kenneth Foriata and his team, and they touched on the overview of domestic arrears, outstanding, and plans to address them in the coming months, progress and audits of unpaid bills, data gaps, and indeed the plan of action for the next time. And again, back to the Bank of Ghana, again, starts with the governor and his team, look at recent development and how it's impacting on the economy of the country. So with this information and foundation, my information is the base upon which they are calling on the vice president, because they have enough information and they will discuss it even further, because the vice president, as chair of the economic management team, has so much information that may help in this regard. So that's how today is going to end for them.
So it's interesting. It's almost like an introductory engagement with all the relevant stakeholders in the Republic of Ghana. So with the Vice President, obviously he will chair our economic policy direction with the monetary policy people at the Bank of Ghana, and also more importantly with the Finance Ministry, where our fiscal policies are driven. What I want to appreciate your time with us this evening, Elton. Many thanks to you for keeping an eye on that particular important meeting for us. So we understand after several meetings in the course of today, that Crunch IMF team is already at the presidency, meeting the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. And we understand as he chairs the economic management team, much of the discussion beyond the courtesy call is to deal with many of those other issues. But I did tell you that, not long ago, a very high-powered government team was deployed to let the people of this republic understand why government is agreeing to start some negotiation, why the IMF team is in Ghana in the first place. So one of the members of that high-powered team, he's in charge of perhaps one of the most important sectors of our economy, the state-owned enterprises, the places where liabilities are bound in higher proportions. The Honorable Public Enterprises Minister, Joseph Kujo, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well.
Yeah, do you miss this ministry from the Energy Ministry? Now you've been elevated to a substantive minister. You were a deputy minister, but do you miss this ministry? The Energy Ministry?
Yeah, the Energy Ministry appears exciting. Yeah, the energy issues are...
There was a lot more trouble there than in the state-owned enterprise.
The troubles are like, how do I put it? Active by the day.
Oh, I see.
So
there are energy issues almost every day.
Exactly. So yes. You see how the Minister for Energy, Honorable Dr. Matthew Opoku,
is dealing with how much we are using to transport, what they call it, the Mary plant.
Petroleum issue.
Yeah.
Gas issue. Electricity issue. And these things, you can't just hold them for a day without getting things right.
The interesting part is that some of the sectors cut across because they are state-owned enterprises in the energy ministry too.
Now, this my role as embodiment of all the public sector enterprises, including the energy sector enterprises themselves.
Let me start from this question. I know I'll ask you why we have done a U-turn to go to the IMF.
Yep.
I did not hear you personally make a public comment on whether or not we are going. I've been looking all over the internet for it. Why? you appear to say you are safe in that particular thing, but I didn't. I've been looking for the evidence to suggest that you personally saying that we would never go. But very key ministers in this government have stated before that we will never go. In fact, the finance minister said we're a proud nation, and that we are not a nation that's going to go back and ask people for help when we can deal with this on our own. Even days before that particular engagement and the statement were issued on Friday, we're being told by senior members of government that IMF is not on the table.
Yes.
How come we actually put IMF on the table at the last minute?
Okay, interesting. First, you didn't see me speak on it. Maybe if I did. No, I didn't. I didn't make any pronouncement.
Okay.
But whenever any of my colleagues and Minister of Finance himself spoke, I associated myself with it.
You did?
Yeah, I did. I like, once he's speaking, I know all he's saying reflect my own thinking.
So we are no longer a proud nation?
We are.
Still?
We are, yeah. Let me explain one thing that maybe we've taken for granted.
Okay.
There is, in life, what we call aspiration. If you aspire higher, if even you don't reach that target you aspire to reach, where you reach, if it's closer, you may be scoring excellent or very good or good. Okay. It's good to have a very high aspiration. So starting from President's own vision, Ghana Beyond Aid, it's an aspiration. And you have to engender the thinking of the people to attain that.
I get you.
Yes, to attain it. I can't see a visionary or carrier or bearer of a vision saying things that are just on the floor without stretching the energies of the people to aspire to higher heights. I can't imagine it. So if anybody said, we're not going, it's an aspiration.
So we're not sure. We're just
no. I'm saying you.
Aspiring.
It's like
we're just hoping against hope that we will not go.
No, not hoping. You're working towards it. You're working towards it. You know, when you start examination, you know you aspire to get 100.
Yeah.
But when you get 98 and you get excellent, it's a good score, right?
Yeah.
But when you fail in the exams, does it mean it was bad to have aspired to have gotten 100? No. So, if those statements that were my own understanding, and I associated myself with it, but there is this element of any decision one makes. Any decision one makes is based on information becoming available.
So between Thursday and Friday, what changed?
What changed between Thursday and Friday?
Yes. On Thursday, ministers were still saying
if you
not
know,
going to the
if you know how financial systems work and financial decisions get informed by the hour. I'll give you one example. When 9/11 struck, boom, just the following the stock prices response.
But that's immediate, right?
Exactly. So I'm saying financial and economic decisions, there are triggers. Something that trigger becomes information.
So what was the trigger on Thursday?
My understanding of the trigger as we met was there had been earlier discussions looking at data. Okay, looking at data. But the data sources were the fiscal, that is the Minister of Finance's view, purview, which was expenditure, revenue, financing, and debt. That is his purview. So once you're working from the budget and January, you say, e-levy has behaved this way, so let me do a 20% cut in expenditure to align with revenue. It gives you aspiration that given the next implementation, you would prevent Ghana accessing IMF support. At that point in time, you didn't know 24th February, there will be a certain missile attacking another country to trigger a war. You didn't know that, yes, I'm telling 24th February, there was a war. You didn't know. If you care to take note of the fact that it is these events that result in data that facilitate decision making. Let me take it practical to you. Who knew shooting of a missile can result in expenditure on Ghana's budget, that students in Ukraine should be evacuated? This expenditure, typical.
Yeah.
Are you getting me?
I get you.
So just somebody sit in his country, shoot a missile, triggers expenditure in Ghana. Are you getting how? But there's spontaneous stance. So I'm saying that rolling events leads to decision review, and anybody that makes decision cast in stone, then you're not managing. Once you manage,
I come back to the same question. What happened between Thursday and Friday? Because on Thursday, the
that's what I'm saying. There was a meeting.
Go in.
No, there was a meeting. I remember there was a meeting, and then we put together the fiscal information and then the monetary information.
Okay.
That is Governor of Bank of Ghana himself sitting in with his team. So now you have, it's not Ministry of Finance, fiscal conduct of the policy, but the two, and then informing you that no, given the real sector, things that are evolving in the real sector, rising prices, no sign that it's abating, but we need to continue our import, and the demand on forex has risen, such that we need more forex to keep importing crude, pharmaceutical, input, fertilizer, and so on. So seeing data that there is the forex, the reserves we have dwindling, then you say, hey, let's not wait until the economy collapses. And once you trigger that word, prevention of economic potential economic collapse, that informs a decision to take a different course of action. That is the trigger.
So when did we get to know that there was potential for economic collapse?
That meeting that looked at the data from, don't forget, Bank of Ghana is conducting its monetary policy. Ministry of Finance is conducting its fiscal policy. Are you getting it?
Yeah, I get you.
And there is engagement.
That's
True. Now, you do projection. If you make a projection, don't forget everybody makes projection and review the projection, given developments of events. Are you getting my point? So that meeting projected what could happen down the line. And then you say, no, there can be imminent economic collapse, and you don't want this to happen. So the immediate feasible solution is to be part of this international monetary system we call IMF. Sometimes we have taken politics too far and forgotten that the IMF itself is part of the international financial system arrangement.
That's true.
To create stability in the global economic environment. Because one country going down can trigger a collapse of another country.
I get you 100%.
Okay, so
but has this not always been the case, right? This has always been the case.
So that's why we have gone there already 17 times. Other countries have gone there X times. So
when we went in 2015,
yeah,
we are aware that this is part of the system and available options to us, right?
Yes, we are aware.
Not necessarily because one, it's incompetent at running the economies.
I'm not a prophet, but I've seen your line of thinking. Let me say that I've seen a statement where if you mismanage your economy, you go to IMF. I've seen that statement.
Yeah.
I say, if the one who made that statement, Dr. Baumia, made that statement.
Is it applicable today?
That time, yes, very applicable. If you mismanage
the economy today?
No, that's not conclusive. I'll come to that. If you mismanage your economy, you go to IMF. If scenarios were generated in that statement, it would have read completely. If you mismanage your economy, that's the competence issue. You go to IMF. If global pandemic hits your economy, it can lead you to IMF, or you will go to IMF. If war hits your economy, so you track the history of countries that have gone to IMF, and then you can isolate those that mismanaged, those that were hit by a certain crisis, those that were hit by a certain unforeseen circumstances.
Oh, I get you. So, about the COVID first, then Ukraine, Russia.
Exactly. Those things are not things we have a control over, and we were managing.
And effectively, I did not impact only Ghana.
I wish we were the one. Yes, and that is why a lot of countries arising out of the pandemic has accessed IMF facility. Had it not been pandemic, some countries wouldn't be there, but some countries are there. Last week Wednesday, IMF chief MD said more than 110 countries have accessed IMF facility.
But this was for 2020.
Yes, but I'm saying so exactly.
It's not 2022.
Wait.
We also access IMF facilities in 2020, right?
Yes, I like logic.
Yeah.
If you say this is 2020, it means you are saying as a result of the pandemic, more than 100 countries access facilities. Is that what you are agreeing?
In 2020. That's what I want to set the record straight on that. Okay. It's different from what we are doing now. So we, like many countries, went into IMF for either special drawing rights or rapid credit facility in 2020. We did that.
Yes. And not only us. But I'm saying because of the pandemic.
But why are we back to IMF? How many countries have gone back to do a program like we are seeking to do now?
Oh, Africa countries.
That's not 100, right? That's not 100.
No. There are less than 100 countries in Africa.
I'm not talking about African countries at all.
Yeah.
I'm saying all over the world now. 100 is not the one that's currently going to the IMF, right?
You see, listen to this. If you've been there, I want to establish to you, because I've heard that thinking. People saying, oh, the IMF, the pandemic affected everybody. But I'm saying, let's establish that as a factor, that it impacted economies. You understand? It impacted economies. And that's why we saw that unusual number of countries accessing IMF facility. So when you say the factor impacted, then the question is that, what about the post-pandemic factors? We know, let me tell you one factor, if you are in the real sector, you will be faced with. Maybe where you sit, you don't face it. You talk to any importer on freight.
I get your point.
You get it.
The point I'm getting to here is that the reference to 100 countries is for 2020. Not all the 100 has gone back to the IMF post the 20 agreement. And we, Ghana, we're part of the 100. So why are we back to engaging the IMF today? That's the question.
Listen to this. We keep going round in circles.
No,
your logic is that since 100 went,
yes,
February 24th, Russian-Ukraine war, it means another 100 should go.
No, I'm not saying so.
Okay.
That's not a question.
Then I'm not getting you.
Your point you made was that over 100 has been to the IMF for several engagements. I'm saying we were part of 100. Were we not? Yeah,
yes, we were.
We were. Since we actually went for the rapid credit or even the special drawing rights, how many countries have gone back to the IMF for what we are engaging them on now?
And I'm saying several. Egypt has gone.
Not up to 100, right?
Oh, not up to 100.
Brilliant. So what's the difference between the countries that went like the 100 and the countries that are going back like Ghana?
Come again on that.
I'm saying, what's the difference between...
Okay.
Yeah, what's the common factor here between those who actually went for the 100 like Ghana did early on and those who are going back now between 2020 and 2022?
You know, in any economic environment, let me throw in one factor that will even trigger the thinking of all of us. Any economic environment, factors that determine macroeconomic conditions are not the same. Like we think textbook.
I get you. Yeah, I understand that.
So the 100 that went, if you're asking how many of them have gone, I would say our circumstance as a country, how that is the percentage of our imports to even export will differ to the next country.
I get you.
Will differ from another country.
Yeah. My question really, forgive me, and I know you're making the point, but what's so peculiar about Ghana that after joining 100 other countries to seek help from the IMF in 2020, we are back in 2022 asking for a program? What's so peculiar about Ghana?
I'll mention one.
Yeah.
One thing that is so peculiar about us is that it's because of our excessive import to export ratio, which affect our reserves. This is peculiar to us. You understand? Just this afternoon, AGI, there was a certain forum organized by TV3, and one person made the statement. I hadn't even taken note of that statistic, that as a country, we import about 70% of our input into production. This is staggering. Are you getting me?
I get you.
This is peculiar. So if a country imports 70% of its input into production, then its implication on its FX, foreign exchange FX, that is reserves at its central bank, will be more impacted by same price change in crude oil price, for example, or metal price, for example, or fertilizer price, for example, out there. It will impact it more. Are you getting me? So I wasn't surprised. Now, I wasn't surprised that given our excessive inclination to importation, we found ourselves running down our reserves faster than most countries. So that became the trigger to make a decision that you don't want to run the economy up to the point that you don't have reserves to back your importation and collapse. the system.
We'll actually look at the import to the export ratio in a moment, but I need to take a break. When we come back, my guest is the Minister for Public Enterprises. It's Ghana's engagement with the IMF now. The staff, they are here. They are meeting leaders of the various units in our governance. After this break, we'll continue our conversation about what's been happening and what the way forward is for the Republic of Ghana. You're welcome back. This is UPfront. My name is Raymond Acquah. My guest today is the Minister for Public Enterprises, and that wonderful minister, the Honorable Joseph Kudjo, is in the studio here already. We are discussing that decision by the Republic of Ghana to engage the IMF on a possible program, and government says it's a program to support current program. We call it an enhanced program for what they call it, engagements that's supposed to make us deal first and foremost with balance of payment difficulties and all of that. You were on the point of view talking about why Ghana's situation is peculiar.
Yeah.
And Ghana seems to have been impacted more than other countries.
Yes.
Your argument is that we do more imports than exports.
Exactly.
Is it a recent one, or it has always been the case?
It has always been the case.
Yeah.
And when it comes to impact analysis, since this is high, our import bills are high, the fuel price increases. You know, you buying something at $1, it goes to 2. It means that your demand for the dollar from central bank doubles. You're buying fertilizer at a price doubles, triples. Your demand for your reserves also doubles and triples.
So you think we have a negative trade balance? I thought it was positive rather.
No, it's the reserves. You know, this you may call it maybe a liquidity thing. You have reserves backing your imports, okay, and then your reserves is going down because the demand on the reserves has more than doubled.
Okay.
So it depletes faster. And the economic decision, the rational decision to make is to shore up the reserves. Take steps to shore up the reserves. Because if you leave it and it deplete completely, you will start experiencing economic collapse. That becomes the trigger to say, let me take the step to shore up the reserves.
No,
that becomes the
point
decision driver.
We're looking at the monetary policy report by the Bank of Ghana, May 2022. Page 9 says, in the first 4 months of 2022, the trade account recorded significant improvement. The trade surplus improved to 1.3 billion in the first 4 months compared to 0.8 billion in the same period of 2021, largely driven by crude oil price and non-traditional exports. So we have a trade surplus.
Let me take you to a company.
Not a deficit, rather.
Yeah. I will explain things to you. If you haven't seen.
So we are exporting more than we are importing.
Wait. You are exporting more than you importing doesn't mean you are generating physical cash, dollar cash in an account more than you are demanding. It doesn't mean that.
So that's not the point you're making. You actually say that we're importing more than we're exporting.
Exactly. So,
yeah, but that's not what the trade balance says.
No. It is excessive dependent on imports. That's a factor. But what you are saying, the trade surplus, I'm explaining to you, it is like a company that reports profit, and you are excited that, the company is reporting profit, and then the company collapses because of liquidity. Liquidity is different from a surplus. In a sense, it's like profit. But if you are accounting for profit, you sold, it's not being paid. Okay? You know the cost at which you sold it. So you look at your selling price and you look at your cost, you have reported profit. But the cost is paid in actual cash, like salary to this guy, but the sales has not come in. As for the accountant, it will record a profit, just like this accountant will record a surplus.
I get you.
But liquidity becomes the crunching decision making, the decision factor for collapse.
Yeah. No, but
Are you
I'm
getting
only
me?
looking at the point you made about
Yes,
we
so-
importing more than we export.
Yes,
But
yes.
that's not borne out by the facts, actually. That's just what I wanted cleared out anyway.
Oh, no.
Because that's the
I
point you
said-
actually made, yeah.
I said, let me. We're importing more than we're exporting. I said, let me correct what I said. I said,
Okay.
AGI said input into production is 70%. Input into production. That's the statistic I used. Are you getting me?
I'm getting your
That's the
point, yeah,
statistic I
yeah.
used. And I said 70% input into production. What it means is that we import
70% of the
inputs into our
inputs
production.
that the AGI used for their production.
Yeah, that is what.
Okay, I get your point.
Yeah, so we
So
would need
that's the
a lot
clarity
of-
I wanted to put
So we'll
on
need a
the-
lot of dollars. That is the point I'm
Okay,
making, for
yeah.
example. Yeah.
I get your point. Now, so the point you were making substantively is that we are in a unique position to be affected by the very issues you referenced in this case.
Yeah.
But before even COVID struck, there were clear-cut indications that our economy was not in very good health, wasn't it?
Oh, you see, economies naturally moves through cycles, naturally. In response, it is the reason why you need management. If economies move in one direction, you won't need, it will be an autopilot, you won't need management. You meet an economy, you pick it up in 2017, and then you manage to growth. Economies go through cycles.
Yeah.
And then there is apparent deterioration in the macro statistics.
Okay.
Just because government itself has embarked on ambitious projects to accelerate development and backing the ambition with industrialization. Are you getting me? To expand the base of the economy. And then you know that if you take on debt, the expanded economy will be able to absorb the debt because there's relativity. It is like somebody who owes $1,000 and has an income of $2,000 in just a month. In just a month, he can pay.
Okay.
Exactly, because his capacity to pay is higher. Yeah. So you plan, the economy was planned to growth, and then the growth would have enhanced the GDP, debt to GDP ratio improved. But that did not, that is the growth measures. They didn't kick in as fast as the expenditure measures. The expenditure measures, you know, you are embarking on, what do we call it? Government priority programs. School feeding, free education, because you really want to educate your population so that they will become abreast with the new digitalized environment of the economies or work. So you're doing all these programs at the same time when you are expecting growth to match up with debt, and then you find yourself up to the point where pandemic struck. As for the expenditure, it won't go down, it even heightened, because production, you know, during the COVID environment, that 2020 period, government workers were still being paid, for example, but they were not working. Health expenditures went high. You will say revenue came in to absorb. That's fine. But you don't leave out free water was given. So as for the expenditure, it stayed the same and even increased. But revenue did not prorated match the expenditure, so it opens gap than you.
I was talking here about, and you mentioned it, but I was talking here about pre-COVID.
Yes.
Because pre-COVID, debt was around 225 billion in 2019.
Debt level 225 billion. No.
225 billion.
225. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
225 billion. Yes.
Okay.
From 120 in 2016.
Yeah.
Then debt to GDP ratio increased from 57 to somewhere around 64% anyway.
Exactly.
And
So
interest payment had increased from 10 billion in 2016
Yeah.
to 37 billion in 2019.
yes,
So everything was on the uptake.
exactly.
And,
Interest.
and if you want to believe the World Bank gentleman who talked about Ghana's economy showing serious challenges even before the COVID broke, we cannot really pack and heap everything on the back of COVID, can we?
No, nobody is heaping everything back on the COVID. When we say something is a factor, then we say it is, when it comes to cause and effect, I don't think there is one thing that is impacted by only one thing.
I get you.
COVID is just the major factor.
It's the
Just
major factor.
Major and major factor. That's the point. When we point at it, we say global pandemic, it becomes the explanatory factor, maybe 70% or 80% of the situation. We're not saying COVID is everything. Nobody is saying
it
COVID
70 or
everything.
80%?
No, but I haven't seen anybody measure the impact on different
So how do
economies.
you come to the conclusion that it's the major factor here?
It is a major factor. If you want, let me read something to you. Maybe experts have put their thoughts together and can speak to that. This is Ghana 2021 Article 4.
Yeah.
Article 4 consultation, press release, the staff report and statement by the executive director for Ghana. It says Ghana has been hit by the pandemic. The government's proactive response helped contain the spread of COVID-19, protecting lives and limiting the impact on economic activity. However, partly because of the pandemic, that's why I say it cannot be 100% explanatory. Partly because of the pandemic, the fiscal position worsened considerably.
But you said it was the major contributing factor. It didn't say partly like the way the World Bank puts it.
Oh, when they say part, if in 100%,
Yes.
and it is 99, the 99 is still part.
Yes,
Please.
I get your point. But they could have actually stated that is the majority of it if they wanted
So
to.
I'm saying the 1% may be other.
Except this does not support your majority claim.
It does.
That's my point.
It does. However, partly because of the pandemic, the fiscal position worsened considerably.
Yeah.
It's so worsened considerably,
Yeah.
and attributing the considerable worsening to the pandemic.
Partly because of the pandemic.
Exactly. So when IMF report says this, then you have to appreciate that the pandemic. I've heard people who are saying don't attribute it to the pandemic, but this is cracks to the assessment, and the fiscal position worsened considerably last year with a sharp increase in public sector debt. So this is something people are not.
But even within the period, you met.
Don't forget, I was
your
right.
projected tax revenue, right?
You see, this analysis. That's why I try citing figures for us to appreciate.
But I'm sorry,
let me.
but this is also figure related.
But
you
no,
met your projected tax revenue.
Exactly, but let me break it down.
Yeah.
Because I deem it that there are viewers who may not be as sophisticated as you are. So, listen, if you project a tax revenue 10 and project expenditure 12,
Yeah.
and you create a deficit 2, and then your tax revenue comes to actual. This is projection.
Yeah.
If tax revenue actual comes to even 12, it means you have experienced increase in tax revenue. But when your expenditure moves from the 12 projected to 20, the gap that will open will be 8. And then you ask yourself, what caused the expenditure level to increase sharply from the 12 projected to 20? This kind of analysis don't go into what I hear. People will say, oh, but you exceeded your tax revenue. And they leave the expenditure in. What happened to the expenditure? Was the projected exactly what was achieved, or the expenditure went up beyond?
But honorable, I mean.
No, are you getting me?
I get you back with respect.
Okay.
You can decide to spend on so many things. Proper, frivolous, not so popular, and so many other things can be spent on. So
The
in
free
all
water,
fairness-
frivolous. The free water was.
No, I mean, who am I to say that? I'm not saying that.
No,
that's
no,
what
say
happened.
it- say
I'm
it to
saying-
everybody.
I'm saying that you can decide to spend on anything.
No, but
and
let's-
the jury is still out there on what you spent your money on. So that's not
Okay.
my point.
Okay.
But you cannot really, because our difficulty has been whether or not we're able to raise enough money to actually do the things that we want to do.
Okay.
So if you decide to do projects, very ambitious projects, some even with the people questioning why you should be doing them at the time you are doing them.
That's right.
It's a decision of government to do so.
That's right.
You cannot then come back and say that, well, we exceeded expenditure, so you should be.
But interestingly, projects. I do not know a single project. In fact, I've seen you guys bastardizing the.
Bastardizing.
Yeah, bastardizing. I've seen it. Bastardizing God's house.
Which one?
God's house, the cathedral. If you take.
No, sorry.
That project-
I actually supported the.
Oh, good.
construction
Then you were.
No, my
because
position has 100% changed on this matter. So I
But-
have moved
but
from
I just-
I support initially
and then moved. Okay,
to.
but don't worry.
I don't support how much money you are pumping into it.
But,
That's the difference.
But don't
here.
worry. I want to create that exception and make
Yeah.
a general statement. If you take, because the public view is divided on that, if you take that singular project out, I do not know a single project that can be said to be frivolous. I do not know. Is it the roads? We don't need them any longer. Is it a railway system? We don't need them. Is it a port expansion? We don't need them. Is it a school education to educate Ghanaians so that in the next 20 years, every 20-year-old born today must have completed a secondary school?
So sorry.
Are you getting
why are
me?
you reviewing it now?
No.
If it was kosher, cast in stone.
Aspiration.
Perfect.
Aspira-
The question I'm
I keep-
asking today is, why are you reviewing it?
When you want to buy Benz and you review to buy Opel Kadett, you understand that cash reality.
No, my point here
So-
is that, you see, it's people who are not really saying don't do many of those.
Okay.
They ask you to be very frugal in spending the public's money on some of these projects when you could have targeted. So if you come back to say that you are reviewing
see,
it
the
to make it
difference-
more efficient,
Oh no!
it's almost like coming to the table late after everybody has said you should do the same thing.
Don't ever think review in management, feedback in management.
Yes.
It's not a useful tool. It does.
I see.
So,
but the
yes.
only people that thought about this was government.
Who?
Yes.
Talk about review.
The only people that received and actually praised, determined that review was negative was government. Right from the executive president himself, who said review meant cancelling. That's what he said, right? You heard it before.
No, I haven't.
No, you've not heard the president say that before?
Review means what?
Cancelling the free SHS policy. You never heard it?
Wait. Don't put it generally like that. I remember clearly NDC's review of free SHS will mean cancelling it. That is what it is.
Review.
It is not the general principle.
So
that the
NDP's
president
review means what? Making it more efficient. But the NDC's review meant
I
cancelling.
remember that.
That's what the president
NDC, said. I even said it. And after NDC, when they say they will review, it means they will cancel.
You said
that
the same thing.
Exactly. I believe the
And
same
you believe
thing.
it?
I still believe.
But when the NPP says they will review, what do they mean by it?
Make it function effectively or efficiently.
Interesting. I just cannot. But how can one word has different meaning depending on the political party?
Exactly. One word, every word will lead. Don't forget, the review is a verb. In one, the way the person thinks, it will lead us to a certain action. The way another person thinks, the same word will lead to a certain action.
Is government, in all of this, is government just not admitting that we messed up, we failed, and we need to come back and tell the people that we need you on board? We are taking different paths.
Listen, the hardship in town, the hardship, every person in government today hopes it wouldn't have been there. Teachers are asking
Really?
for, yes. But who decides that? Nobody. You think I decide that? I've been a teacher before. When teachers were asking for COLA, 20%, I said, that time when I was teaching, I would rather look at inflation rate 27.6% and say year on year. It means last year to this year, my
expense
living exactly 27%. So if you compensate me, I will start asking 27.6%. But they did a reasonable request of 20%. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Who says government doesn't sympathize with the situation?
But is it legitimate?
I'm saying it is legitimate.
Will government pay?
Government paying is another part of the decision, because government will pay out of availability of cash. Is it there? Is a decision to make.
Is it there? I mean, I'm actually, you are a government.
I say the timing is wrong.
The timing is wrong.
The timing.
What makes the timing wrong? The effect of the impact
because the budget is overstretched. That is the reason.
But there's a review upcoming. There's a media budget coming.
Exactly. So if the review would create space, it will be able to create space and accommodate some adjustment. That will be good.
But it looks like when it comes to teachers, the budget is overstretched. But when it comes to pay for other things,
like what?
Like paying for cathedral, you're able to upfront cash to people immediately.
Let me. The way we have done economic analysis and financial analysis sometimes gets disturbing. I will.
No, my point I'm making here is on this particular point.
Yes.
Why is that when it comes to these people, it's not possible to pay?
No.
But when it comes to the other points, we already have money to pay.
No. You see, it is not. It doesn't work like that. What you are saying distorts the thinking.
Yes.
I want to correct it. You see, size of obligation can make you make choices. Pay for cathedral, I need X million. Pay for adjustment in allowances, I need 100X million. But I don't have 100X million. And the X million cannot pay part. Teachers allowance, you can't say I'm paying 300 teachers and leave 70,000 teachers. When you even adjust just 200 Ghana cedis per everybody, you can't do that. It has to be done all teachers. And that can lead to a choice and say, okay, I will pay for this and plan and pay for this. Are you getting me?
I get you.
Because revenue flows in.
Okay.
So the timing of the payment would make you decide which one to pay first. That's the practical term. It is like you needing.
I get your point. I think the explanation is quite clear.
Okay, now, thank you.
There's a couple of questions I want to ask you, but because there's a question that's related to your direct area in this particular conversation.
Okay.
Recently, we heard about this Golden Tube Lancaster area. We also heard SNE talking about seeking to dispose of some of its hotels and all of that. What's the status of the engagement with Lancaster and Golden Tulip on one side? And secondly, is the government's general plan to rationalize the state or SOE sector with this agreement?
Let's take specific, the Golden Tulip Lancaster. There's a joint venture between government of Ghana and Ghana Libya Arab Holding Company. They hold 60%. So they are majority shareholder. Ghana government holds 40%. The decision, there's a company incorporated under the laws of Ghana, a corporate, with its own board of directors and management team. Are you getting that? Government is only a shareholder, holding 40%. So the major decision maker is really not government, if you know how these shareholding structures work.
Yeah, I get you.
Exactly. So management had dealt with, the board and management had dealt with Golden Tulip as managers, lessees of the facility. And over the years, they've run it with their brand, Golden Tulip. Now, some development in the original lessee made it impossible for them to renew the lease agreement. But it is not between Ghana government and them. It is between board and management, that is, and the lessees.
Okay.
So, with that challenge, then they looked for another brand to manage, and that is the Lancaster. And they signed a lease agreement. They will come and invest in this and that.
Is
That's
government
the
okay
terms
with
of-
it?
Yeah, very interesting.
We're informed.
Sorry.
We're informed. As minority shareholders, we're informed.
Yes, but if we're not informed, how would I be? How would you and I be talking
I just
about
want
it?
to know whether we agree to it, right?
If I say we agree to it, this is board and management decision.
Okay. I don't know. Of course, we are represented
government
on the board, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
So once the board of directors meet and make a resolution, that's it.
Are we disposing of more hotels?
Which?
Are we going to dispose of more hotels to free up cash?
Which hotels do we have that we're going to dispose of?
The ones that are under SNIT, for example.
I know SNET, the Labadi.
Yeah, they said
The
they have
one
about
in-
6 or so.
Yeah, there's
Some
one
in
in
Cape Coast too.
Cape
actually.
Coast, yeah. The Jaya, and then Disco.
Yeah.
Okay, that three. I know, we call them golden.
I get you, but
yeah.
my point is, are we going to...
Listen, this has disposal or non-disposal has nothing to do with current economic condition.
Okay.
Nothing. Nothing to do with it. It has always been government desire to let private sector lead the economy. Do you understand? Now let me even
Are we going to go into more of these joint ventures?
I'll be happy. That's what I look at. If the state enterprises are attractive for private ownership. But the problem we have is that they are not even attractive. So we have to work hard, hence my ministry or my portfolio, to work hard and make it attractive. Because private capital hates loss-making ventures.
That's true.
Exactly. So we have to work harder. We are holding them to our chest, primarily because they are not attractive.
Last question. Will people be worse off in this country under the IMF program?
Oh, if you say
As in,
worse
should we
off,
expect more hardship?
my personal expectation is that things will not, the desire we all want is increased welfare. Are you getting me?
I get you.
That's the aspiration of the Ghanaian. That is the fundamental of the constitution. It is the basis of our sweat every
get
day
you.
to improve welfare. Under this program, I do not expect improved welfare to happen. If improved welfare is not happening, the rate we desire, I would say, okay, then worst case should be survival. Like it stays same.
So Ghanaians will
But
survive.
worsening, exactly, because there is always a phase in life when you try to thrive, to experience the days ahead. That's why we are struggling to go to heaven,
Will this be our last IMF program?
I want you to also say one of those things. No,
Will this be our last IMF program?
will this be the will this be the last existence of Ghana?
My time is up. Thank you so much, Honorable Joseph Kudo, and many thanks to you for joining us on UPfront tonight. And my guest, Honorable Joseph Kudo, Public Enterprise Minister. Thank you so much once again for joining us. Honorable, thank you for coming.
Yeah, Raymond.